The victim mentality is what keeps you sick. The victim mentality is what keeps you from sleeping at night. The victim mentality is what gives you a pass to be lazy. I am none of those things. None of them. And I know you're not either because you're listening to this podcast. If you're a woman over 40 and you feel like your body just isn't working the way it used to, low energy, bloating after meals, stubborn weight, nothing's working, and on top of it all, you have brain fog. You're not crazy, and you're not broken. For so many women, it feels like overnight everything has changed. Foods that you used to tolerate suddenly make you feel terrible. Your energy crashes, and no matter how clean you eat and how much you exercise, something still feels off. That's why I created Simply the Best. It's a 90-day experience designed specifically for women over 40 to rebuild their gut health, restore their energy, and help them feel confident in their bodies again. Inside the program, we focus on healing your gut so everything else starts working again. Smoother digestion, balanced weight without obsessing, clearer skin, better mood, sharper focus, and energy you haven't felt in years. Because when your gut is working, your whole life levels up. If you're ready to feel like yourself again, you can learn more about joining the program in the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Let's Talk Shit podcast. I am your host, Lisa Garrett. I am a wife, mom of 4 boys, 2 German Shepherds, and I'm a gut and psychology practitioner. Look, I know you've done all the things with diet and exercise, and I also know that your health means the world to you. I'm going to show you how your gut health is the game changer to your weight, your confidence, and your stamina. So if you're ready to become the shit in your life, then let's jump in. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Shit. So I'm channeling Stevie Nicks today. My shirt says, "Don't be a lady, be a legend." And that's not what I'm talking about today, but I'm just channeling Stevie Nicks. And if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you know Stevie Nicks, and you came to love the Belladonna album, okay? Who doesn't love that? And I saw her in concert here just about, 2-3 years ago, and she was fabulous. She had all the sultry and suave and sexiness as, what is she, in her 70s? Like, she just brought it. That's the beauty of not having your voice auto-tuned, is that when you go, on tour and you're in your 70s, your voice has evolved because you're in your 70s, but it still sounds like you. And so everybody who has an auto-tuned voice now, I bet you they're not touring when they're in their 70s. No freaking way. Okay, today I'm talking about choices. It has been screaming loud and clear to me that people feel victim to choices. Let me explain. Let's talk about, first and foremost, food. This is something that I have to help people work through every day, and that's fine because that's my job. But I want you to know there is nobody holding you hostage with food on a fork telling you you have to eat this or else. If there is, then you're probably not listening to this podcast. I want to dig deeper about why you feel like you don't have a choice. Personally, I don't do a lot of things I don't want to do. And I think it's because I had to fight or flight on my own years and years ago. I just did. I figured some things out. I was mentored by some very independent women when I was young. I gravitated towards that kind of independent vibe. I'm not going to say like feminism because it's not that. I'm feminine, but I'm not a feminist. But I also don't believe that. Okay, I'm gonna riff on this. I also don't believe that somebody's life is more important than mine, or they deserve a better day than I do, or I should work, because I'm not making as much as my husband, he deserves more of the final say in things. I also don't believe any of that. I think that's fucking bullshit. I just do. I think everybody has a purpose. Everybody does what they can. And if you're happy where you're at, that's what matters. And if you are who you are. So I'm talking about the choices we make. They're not really choices. It's really you saying, I feel like I have to, or I'm not worthy. Okay, that's really what it comes down to. Here's an example. When people are doing a plan of some sort, let's say they're doing Simply the Best, my 90-day plan, and they feel like because their spouse eats out, or because they have a function, or they go to a picnic, well, I don't have choices. I have to eat it. Back up. Maybe when you get there, that's the only choice that's there. Let's say it's, barbecued food and cornbread and beer or pizza, whatever. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just maybe not the food that's on your plan. But when you go, you're hungry, okay? And then that's all that's offered. So yes, that is the only choice. But the person who digs a little deeper and wants a little more for him or herself says, when I go to this event, I might not have the available foods I need. So I'm going to have to pivot right now so that if I walk in to a food shitstorm, I'm okay. I'm not starving. I can eat a little bit and still fit in or whatever it is. And I think this is the muscle I worked a long time ago with celiac. Was when I was diagnosed with it 20 years ago, there weren't many options. And as I've said before, the grocery stores were just unrolling the gluten-free products. Gluten-free breads, pretzels, crackers, not a lot, not like there is now. So those were like big samples in the stores and things like that. That being said, the person like me who couldn't eat gluten because of an allergy, a wheat allergy, had to, I had to do my homework. I had to be prepared. I couldn't afford to become a victim of, there are plenty of times that I did because I was working that muscle. And that's part of what my program teaches people to do, is to work that gut health muscle so that it becomes second nature. Okay? It is not selfish of you to take care of you. It is not selfish. It is called self-care, not selfish. And for every woman out there who thinks, gosh, I put myself last. I mean, I know so many clients and women who say, well, this is what my spouse expects. This is what hang on a second. This is what I do. This is what my family likes. I understand. Part of it is, as a mom and as the matriarch, like of my family, I want to make foods that my family loves because I don't have the please disease. God, no, I don't have that. Sometimes I pray I'd get a little bit of that, but I don't. But I still want people to feel comfortable, and I still want them to like what I've made. But my boys learned long time ago when I got diagnosed, they would say, Mom, can you eat here? Mom, what can you eat on the menu? They were very conscientious about that, which I thought was really, really astounding. I think they learned it from my husband, and that's great. So, because there weren't a lot of gluten-free options on menus, restaurants, it wasn't a thing, is what I'm saying. So fast forward to now, when I'm planning meals or whatever it is, I'm thinking of, what can I eat? I never make meals that I can't eat anything. I mean, and I don't think many people do that, but I'm just saying that with dietary restrictions that I have, like I wouldn't make cream of broccoli soup for dinner with crusty bread. Two no-nos for me. Dairy, it makes me very inflamed, and wheat, okay, with bread, unless I made the bread. But that kind of meal, would my family love it? Oh God, they would love the shit out of it. Would I love it? Oh, I would love the shit out of it. But that isn't anything that really aligns with me. And if I'm the one making the food, it better freaking align with me. So one of the first things I tell people to do when they work with me is, if you are going to dinner or if you are going to an event and you are going to be a guest or you're going to bring something to eat, think with you in mind. Anytime I go to a conference, they give me the option, or even a wedding now, dietary restrictions. I put it on there. They're asking, I'm going to tell them. When I go to masterminds, I always ask what kind of food will be available. I need to know, because if I'm not fueled, then I'm not going to be worth anything in a mastermind. So I'm just not going to go. That's the choice. What are my choices when I get there? Okay, these are my choices. Now, are those choices aligned? And if they aren't, I'm not going. I'm not going to invest my time, my money, or my brain fuel if I don't have food fuel. So when you make choices about food, think with you in mind, especially if you are the one doing the cooking. What will work for me? Nobody's life is more important than yours. Nobody's. Not your kids, not your husband, not your parents, not your bestie, not your dog. Nobody. Because if you are the matriarch and you're running all those areas, if you go down, they're all going down. You might as well start with you. Somewhere along the line, women thought that they had to be second in everything, and it's still going on. My mom just said the other day, your father thinks this is a restaurant. He thinks he can just tell me what he wants for dinner. The other day he wanted, I can't remember what she said, short ribs. So I went to the store and I bought him and I made him. And then I told him, this isn't a restaurant, Theodore. What's funny about that is my parents have been married for over 60 years, and they're 85 and 86. So they're definitely of the generation that the wife's place is at home and she does all of the home stuff and he does the work. That I was raised in a very traditional family. We always had great meals and my dad worked. Well, now since, 8 years, my dad has been home because of a stroke. There's this dance, I'll call it a dance, that they do. And sometimes it's kind of like the Costanzas from Seinfeld. I'm like, ugh. But then sometimes I feel like Jim and I are doing that dance when my kids come home. Anyway, but my mom, so I asked her, I said, well, if you didn't have the short ribs and Dad wanted them, why did you go get them? She goes, because he wanted them. So she's still from the mindset of, he is my husband, he is the patriarch, I'm going to cook something he likes. And she likes him too. It just was another step. But I will tell you this, secretly, if my mom didn't want those short ribs, she would have said, forget it. We'll have them next week. Because my mother didn't do anything she didn't want to do. She might have did the cooking and cleaning and, raising us. But let me tell you, when she didn't want to do something, she just didn't do it. And I think that's what I have from my mother, which I love. I love because she'll give to my dad, but there's a line. And then she gets kind of angry about it because she doesn't know. I think she struggles with, this is my role, and now my role as a caregiver has grown, and I don't always like it. And I don't know if she knows how to really put that together, which is fine. It's interesting. So that's an example of choices, okay? So whether you are the one showing up to dinner or you are the one making the food, groceries, whatever it is, or you're just not doing any of it. Listen, you have a choice about what's on your fork. So think about that when you're preparing your meals, planning your meals, going out, or whatever. Why are you sitting behind the 8 ball, letting somebody else decide for you? I'll tell you why. It could be your human design. And if you go back to a previous episode, it's either 52 or 53, human design, might be 51. It talks about the decision making that you make. And it could be like, I'm a manifesting generator. I make decisions quick. I move on. No comes easily to me, but yes comes easily as well. So when a friend of mine wants me to go golfing, it's a no. I don't want to fucking golf. I'm not a golfer. And I don't really want to start. Will I putt? Sure. I don't want to go out and spend 4 hours golfing. Nothing about that sounds fun. For me, if you do it, good for you. If you love it, good for you. It's not for me. I'd rather do 4 hours of something else. I don't know. I can't think of anything right now because I'm doing this podcast, but maybe I'll do 4 podcasts. I don't know. But anyway, the point is, some of your decision making comes from your human design type. So if you take time making a decision, that's okay. But for the love of God, put yourself first. I mean, for fuck's sake, put yourself first. It's okay. Whether you're male or female, husband or wife, whatever. I spent years, kind of putting my kids first in a way, but I have to tell you, in the midst of raising my kids and dealing with my gut stuff, I really had to put myself first. So what I would do is make, here's an example. We would have pasta with meat sauce. Easy, quick. They love it. I love it. But I would make them regular pasta and me gluten-free pasta. That was the extent of making 2 meals. But, when they wanted breakfast for dinner, my youngest always said, breakfast for dinner. And I'd always make the gag sign. Ugh. And he'd say, I saw that. So I remember thinking, well, I can't eat pancakes because they didn't have gluten-free pancake mixes out there. And gluten-free flour was absolutely dog shit. It still is, really. Most of it is. It's okay. It always has that funky aftertaste. And I just thought, I'm going to be sitting there flipping pancakes and I won't be able to eat them. So breakfast for dinner turned into pancakes for them, and then I would make eggs and bacon for me. Okay. And we did that when my husband traveled or when he was home. So there was always a pivot in there. It wasn't just what they want. Okay. It wasn't just what they want. I would sprinkle in what we both wanted. Okay. Then it was a win-win. And maybe that's what I'm trying to tell you. Find the win-win in it all without putting yourself second, third, fourth, and just flying by the seat of your pants. And then you suffer the consequences, whether it's, a gut issue, a brain fog, a migraine, heartburn, fatigue, just pure unhappiness because you don't feel good. That's the thing. If you don't put yourself first, in front of the ones that you love, nobody fucking will. Let me say that again. If you don't put yourself first in front of the ones you love, nobody will. Let that set in for a minute. Nobody will fight harder for you than you, and you are very worth fighting for. Whether it's food, conviction, opinion, time, fun, you matter. Okay? And if you're listening to this and this is pumping you up, yeah, freaking run with it. Start today. Don't be the person who gets pulled around without ever saying really what you want, Whether it's, like I said, activity, food, fun, doesn't matter. You matter. So go back to episode 51 or 52 about human design. grab your human design. And in that episode, I tell you how to find it. It won't take long, it'll take you 5 minutes. Think about that, and then think about the decisions that you make every day, the decisions you make from work, the decisions you make at work with your coworkers. How do you hold yourself? How do you put yourself first? And listen, when I say that, I'm not saying being like, I'm the best or my way or the highway. I'm not saying that. I am saying that however you want to say it, and I don't think a selfish, arrogant way is the best way, but I think just thinking, what do I want, is totally okay. It should be the first thing you think. What do I want? Because if you're taking care of someone and all you do is give, you are depleted. That is not self-respect. That is self-neglect. And like I said, if you've got so many people counting on you to put all of them first, and you get sick, or you feel like you can't go out of town, or you feel like you're a slave to your family, you got to change that. Those days are done. Listen, my mom is not a slave to her family. She loves to have 50 people for dinner on Sundays. She loves it. If she didn't love it, she wouldn't fucking do it. She would not do it. She loves to have us in her house. She loves the fact that we will all clean up. She loves spending the week getting ready for it. She loves to go to the grocery store and get the stuff. 85 years old and she's cooking for 50? What? You gotta love that shit. You gotta love it. Sometimes I think, like on Sundays, I just walk into my mom's house and she's like, this is gluten-free and this is not. And I've got this. I made the salad. You girls can mix the salad. Here's the bread. Here's the gluten-free bread. These meatballs are gluten-free. This sauce is gluten-free. Here's your pasta. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Here's the thing. This is part of her vibe. She's been doing this her whole married life. She hasn't worked outside of the home since she was 21. And if putting Sunday dinner on was the only thing I had to do, yeah, I would make it my job too. And my mom does make it her job, and she does it well. And she has the table decorated. You know, she puts little flowers out. I mean, she takes a lot of pride in that. And then she lets us do all the cleanup, and we do, without being asked, because that's how we were raised. We just start cleaning up. And then we get together another Sunday. We used to do it every Sunday, but now, you know, it's like every other or whatever, a couple times a month. Because we're all starting to do Sundays with our own families. And then we have my mom and dad at our houses. They get to be a guest. So the bottom line is, if you aren't loving the choice you're making, you have to figure out why. Because you're not getting any younger. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not 20, probably not 30. You might be. It's a small percentage. But even if you are those ages, if you start making those choices now, they become pillars. Pillars. And let me just say that if you have the please disease, where everybody else comes first all the time, and you're not the one to say, I don't want to do that. Hey, real quick, before we jump back in, if you're enjoying this episode of Let's Talk Shit, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Every subscribe, every download, and every share helps us reach more people who are tired of feeling stuck and ready to feel like themselves. And if someone popped into your mind while you're listening, a friend, sister, buddy, workout friend, your husband, your neighbor, or that person who's always sending you the health podcast, send this to them right now. Word of mouth is how this podcast grows, and I so appreciate every single share. All right, let's get back to the conversation. I'm not cooking. I want to go out to dinner. I don't want to eat there. I'd like to go here. I mean, it's a compromise. I'm not saying you get your way all the time, but at least say your piece. In not saying your piece, you quietly swallow your self-respect and the fight for yourself. You quietly swallow that. And doing that time and time again leads to a very unhealthy body. Very. People who shut up and put up have gut issues. Me, that was me. You know, in a family, in a big family, there's a lot of action, and, you know, sometimes I just shut up, believe it or not. I didn't really find my mouth until I was 18, and I kind of broke out of the pattern, and I started teaching aerobics, and it really built up my confidence a lot. I found that I could combine dance and fitness into one marriage, and I found that I was good at it, and I got a lot of validation from it, and I kept it going. And that vibe is kind of who I found it very comfortable. It's kind of who I am. I lost jobs because I had a big ego. I lost jobs because I, got mouthy with managers. I lost jobs because I didn't like what they were doing, and I effing quit. But it's a learning curve as you figure out how to say yes and how to say no when you're young. And I didn't know how to do that. So I burned bridges with jobs, people, whatever, and learned the hard way, as we all do when we're young. But now, at 60, I'm so glad that was a muscle that I worked. And I'm grateful for my gut health experience in that I was able to put myself first. And if you don't have that experience, you don't need a reason to put yourself first. You are the reason. You are the reason. That's enough. You're enough. You matter. And when you start saying, this is what I would like, or I don't want to do that, I don't have any interest in that, or I would love to do that. Hey, what about this? Or I'm going to make this for dinner, whatever it is. Or I'm going to take the lead on this at work. Or I'm not going to take the lead. I don't even want to do that. Fuck that. You've earned the right to say yes and no to what aligns with you. And when you do that, what you're doing is you are training everybody around you to respect you. You're training people. I trained my boys to respect me. I didn't know that I was doing that, but in putting myself first, they didn't even know it. They just ate whatever was there. They were respectful, and they just ate what was ever there because they knew if they were to say, this is gross or I don't like it, great. I remember once, one of my kids, I don't know which one it was. There are two things. One, I made these turkey meatballs. I saw them on the Food Network, and I was like, oh, those look good. Okay. They were absolutely awful. And I remember sitting there eating them and everybody kind of looking at each other. And then I looked at Jim. I always look at Jim for backup. He's like, yeah, they're pretty bad. I was like, yeah, we're out of here. Threw them all away, and I think we went out and got pizza. They were terrible. They were terrible. But 99% of the time, my kids never said they didn't like something. They just either ate it or didn't eat very much. And it wasn't until recent that I found out one of my sons absolutely didn't like beef stew. And he said he would come home from school, like in the winter, and he would smell, food cooking, and he'd say, oh, what are we having for dinner? And I'd say beef stew, and he'd be like, oh, great. He ate it time and time again. I didn't know he didn't like it. Had I known, I probably would have made it less or made something to go with it to make it more palatable, for him, because I want everyone, we all have likes and dislikes, and I want people to like what they're eating if I'm taking the time to cook it. But there was another time that one of my sons said something about the dinner, and he didn't like it. And I wasn't a great cook when my kids were little. I just wasn't. I was okay, but I was just so mixed up in so many other things with my health and trying to eat healthy and what's healthy. And I never saw myself as, a domesticated wife or woman. I just didn't. Anyway, so I made something and one of the boys said they didn't like it. And I got so mad. I said, you know what? You know that artwork you brought home? I think it's pretty bad. And I just totally lied to you and said it was good, and they were crushed. And I said, that's how I feel when you insult my dinner. I took the time to make it. I might not be perfect. I'm not great, but I made it. And to say you don't like it is an insult to my creativity. And that's the last time I think it happened. I mean, but again, I was standing up for myself. Like if I don't stand up for myself, if I just sat there and went, oh, okay, and just took it, what an insult. I don't claim to be a great cook. Ugh. I like cooking. I'm definitely not a baker. I don't claim to be a great baker. I can bake. I don't love it. Part of the reason I don't love it is because I don't want all the sweets around. I don't know. I just don't want all these cookies and things around. But I am turning into a fresh milled flour baker because that actually has healing qualities, and that is something I can get my head around. And I just couldn't really get my head around brownies. I couldn't get my head around cookies. I made brownies. I made cookies for the kids and stuff. We had it. It wasn't every night. It was every now and then. But, the brownies from a box, I never made them from scratch, but when people did make them from scratch, I loved them. To me, baking, kind of one of those things I didn't really want to invest my time because I couldn't eat it because it wasn't gluten-free, and the gluten-free stuff was absolute crap. Still is. So this is a shorter episode, and I really do want you to think about why you don't put yourself first and why you find yourself in the victim role of, that's all there was to eat. I didn't have a choice. When you respect yourself, when you put your self-care first, not just when you have the time, but every day, everybody around you lives differently. And they should be doing the same thing, because whether you have kids at home or not, they're still looking at you, for example, as an example, I mean. So standing up for yourself, making the choices you want to make, putting your 2 cents in, throwing your suggestions in the ring, calling ahead to find out what can I eat, what's going to be there, but the victim mentality is what keeps you sick. The victim mentality is what keeps you from sleeping at night. The victim mentality is what gives you a pass to be lazy. I am none of those things. None of them. And I know you're not either because you're listening to this podcast. You guys, teach people how to treat you. And it starts with you treating yourself really good. Really good. And for all you women out there who think that it's selfish, or your husband won't go for it, or your kids, or whatever, doesn't matter what they think. You matter. You are enough and you matter. And if you are someone who's taking advantage of somebody else who maybe can't make a decision as quick or always says yes, don't be that person like everybody else taking advantage. I know people who are so generous and giving and go with the flow all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't step forward and say, I don't want to do that, or I'd like to go here. We have these friends of ours that we go out to dinner with all the time. And we have one set of friends, and they pick one time, and then we pick, and we just kind of go back and forth. It's kind of the same thing. We're on the same page with food. It works great. And then I have another set of friends that we go out with, and they're very generous, they're very giving, and they always put it on us, and I always turn it back on them. You guys pick. And then I say something like, you've been out of town, you guys pick. Oh, I don't know what sounds good. We're good with anything, whatever you pick. And then we just go with it, because I don't want to take advantage of her just going with the flow. I know she doesn't want to make a decision, but I also know that there are foods that she really prefers. And I'm not going to make that decision for her. So what I'm doing is I'm teaching her how to stick up for her. Here's something that she likes to do. She likes to eat outside. I freaking hate eating outside. I don't like the bugs. I don't like the humidity. I don't like the bugs. I don't like the potentially dirty table that always feels dirty in the chairs. I don't like eating outside. I never have. So when she says, oh, can we sit outside? I'm like, yeah, okay. It's one of those compromises that I have to make. She wants to eat outside. You can only eat outside about 3 months in Nebraska. The rest of the time, the weather, it's awful. So it is about compromise, but it's about you first. Now, if she wanted to eat out every time we went out, I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not fucking eating outside. I'm not. And sometimes for me, when I don't speak my mind enough and I've compromised too much, the next thing out of my mouth is no fucking way. And it doesn't matter who it's to. No fucking way. Because that just means I've lost it. I've just lost it. I'm not giving. One night, Jim and I were in the backyard, and we'd been doing a lot of shit in our house, cleaning. And I was having a really sad week about Leo. And it wasn't right after he died. It was, a couple of months later. But I don't know. I was just in a funky McFunk, just funked up and just feeling down. And we have another set of friends that are so fun and full of life, and they vacation hard. And we go to dinner, and let's go have a drink, and then let's go back to my house, And sometimes I'm not up for all of that. And so we were sitting, Jim and I were in the backyard, and he's like, hey, I just invited so-and-so over tonight. I was like, what? Right away. I was at that point. And I love them. I wasn't in the mood to be up. I just wasn't. And I couldn't find it in me to say yes. He goes, is that okay? I go, no fucking way, Jim. He was like, okay. And then I think I probably started to cry and said, I can't do it. I don't have it in me to really be around anybody. He goes, okay, I got it. It's no big deal. And then I felt really bad, and I said, no, just call me. He goes, no. I hear you. He was so nice about it to me. Because if I'm not in a good mood, then he doesn't have a good time, right? And I don't want people to come to my house and have me be less than, happy to see them. That's not right. And they understood. It was fine. So that's how I get when enough is enough. Now, hopefully you don't get that way, but that's me. So whether it's food, fun, your mood, or whatever, you have boundaries. People, use your boundaries, set your boundaries, live your boundaries. It's okay. You can't just be like, the person in New York City where everybody walks all over, back and forth over you. No. And again, especially if you're a woman, set your boundaries, stick to them. You matter, your thoughts matter, your ideas matter, your choices matter. If anything, you compromise way too much in life. Women in general have compromised way too much, and I'm not going to go off on the ways that women compromise, but the second my husband talks about something, women versus men, it's a fight, because I'm going to say, look, dude, and he's learned to heal about it, because he just knows I get really worked up about this. Women have been fighting a long time to get where they are. And we make great decisions, and there are just certain things we can't do. For instance, firefighting. If my house is burning, I don't want a woman trying to pull me out. I want the strongest man in the world pulling me out. Think what you want about that. That's how I feel. But there, sometimes there are comments made from my generation of men because they come from fathers who didn't value so much, the wife, the woman, the matriarch of the family. And I never saw my dad put my mom down, ever, 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 ever. He never talked down to my mother. I think he was a little afraid of her. I always tell people, the only thing worse than being Sicilian is having a Sicilian mother. She could be mean. She held her own. She still holds her own, like I said, but growing up, my mother was not a doormat. Never, 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 never. It was her way and it was my dad's way, and they stood united. They stood by each other. We couldn't break them, not even if we tried. Not even if all 7 of us tried, we couldn't break them. But he never talked down to her. He never demeaned her. He never called her name, nothing. And I think that's really where I get that feminine fire from my mom, is like, oh, no. You are not going to talk down to me. You're not going to do it. Recently, I had some car issues, and I don't think I ever told this story in a previous podcast because I was knee deep in it. Took my car in and for an oil change, and got it done. And then the service guy said, this is the miles that your car is at. So moving forward, these are things we're going to watch for. This could go wrong, so we'll keep an eye. And I was like, no, I don't want to do anything. I just want the oil change. Thanks. Goodbye. I leave. I come home. The car rides fine. The next day, I'm headed out, to a client appointment, which is rare because I don't do a lot of those in person, but I did. And then my car started to chug. Like I couldn't accelerate above 35. And I was like, oh my gosh. It came back to me that everything he told me 24 hours ago is happening right now in my car. So I got him on the phone and I said, hey, Lisa Garrett, blah, blah, blah. Everything you said that could go wrong is going wrong as we speak. And he said, well, that's odd. We just did an oil change. Oh, you did something more than that. I'm headed to the dealer to you right now. But I need to know that if my car stalls, that you'll come get me. Where are you? And I told him. He goes, yeah, come straight here, bring the car. So I did. And, I go in and I am on fire about this because I feel like they fucked with my car. In fact, I'm going to say they did. And if you want to know what dealer, you can message me, because I don't want to sit here and just badmouth car dealers, because that's not me. But this one I was so pissed about. So I go in there and I just went walking in like bitch on wheels. And I know the music that was playing was dun 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 dun, dun, because the men in the showroom like scattered. I must have had a look on my face. I said, where's Kip? The guy's name is Kip in service. Where's Kip? Oh, I said, yeah, I'll get him. Because I thought by the time so I go walking out and he's talking to somebody and I said, hi, Kip. He goes, oh, Lisa, I'll be right with you. I said, okay. But I wanted him to see me because I'm not going to take a seat and get a bottle of water because I have to get to an appointment and you effed up my car. So he comes walking in and I said, I don't know what happened, but everything you told me yesterday is going wrong in that car. He goes, well, that can't be. We just did an oil change. I go, oh, did ya? Did ya? Did you just do an oil change? So he goes back and forth. He goes, well, here. I go, I need a loaner because I have to get to an appointment. So they give me one and I leave. And then he calls me, an hour later or 2 hours and says, we can't find anything wrong. I said, you better look again, because if I bring this loaner back and get in my car and it does it again, then I'm back at square one. Something is going on with my car. And so he said, well, our service, and he just kept holding his own I'm like, no, my car wouldn't accelerate above 35. Certainly you can tell that in driving it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm being taken. Now, normally I would call Jim and have him come in for backup because sometimes you have to do that as a woman. I don't know why, but I didn't. So he calls me at the end of the day, go ahead and keep the loaner. We'll let the car cool down and try it in the morning. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So they do. They call me back. Can't find anything wrong. Huh. And then I said, you left my car outside? He goes, yeah. I go, oh, my car hasn't been outside since I got it. Okay. That pissed me off. Then I go do my day, and then he calls me and said, oh, we did find this wrong, to the tune of $1,800. I thought, finally, you're coming clean. So that was another 24 hours. And then I call a friend of mine who's a mechanic, and he says, that shouldn't go wrong on your car. You don't have that many miles. Fix your car and get rid of it. I was like, oh. So anyway, long and short, I did pay the $1,800 because I needed my car to work, even if I'm going to sell it, right? And Kip and I broke up. I told him when I picked up my car, and I said, I know you did something to my car. He goes, Lisa, you shouldn't say. I go, no. Something happened back there with my car, whether you know it or not, because my car worked fine when I brought it in, and then it didn't. Seems kind of ironic. Kip. I kept using his name. My mother used my name when she was mad at me all the time. I think that's where I get that. Anyway, I stood up for myself, and I actually did have Jim call because I was so mad. I was so mad because I felt like I was getting taken advantage of, and I think I did. So I had Jim, cool, calm, collected Jim Garrett call, and he's like, hey, Kip, Jim Garrett, Lisa Garrett's husband, tell me what's going on. He told Jim the same thing. So, Jim's like, we're just going to have to pay it. I was like, damn it. So we did. Car's fixed. It's fine. But it's ironic. And it's ironic that I have to feel like I have to battle in a man's world. Like a car dealership is a man's world. Okay. And I mean, I could have just paid the $1,800 right off the bat, but I don't know what I expected. I expected them to say, yeah, we fucked with your car, Lisa. We did. I mean, were they going to say that? No. But, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, when I feel threatened in any way, I'm going to come at you. I'm not going to back down. I'm coming at you. I'm going to be the bison that goes into the storm. I'm not going to hide. And it's going to get ugly. And I'm going to be ugly. That's just how it is. Because I was standing up for me. I was standing up for my car. I was fighting for me. And it doesn't always look pretty. But when a man does it, it looks okay. But a woman does it and she's a bitch, right? A little double standard. That's okay. That's okay. Play the music all the time. Dun, 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 dun. I don't care. Play it. Play it loud and proud. I don't care. It'll always stand up for me. I don't care if somebody thinks it looks ugly. I don't care if they think I should have used a different tone. Maybe they should have been a little more respectful towards me, and I would not have had to get ugly with them, right? On that note, I'm going to leave you with this. It's a fun story, and I'm probably going to get rid of my car, and I love her so much, but the dealership closed just about a month ago, and I don't want to be stuck with needing parts and not having a dealer that services my car, so I'm going to have to get rid of her. Bummer. Anyway, I have a choice to make coming up. I will make the right choice, the best choice for me. So as you go through your weekend, whatever it is, your day, put you first. Nobody will fight for you and stand up for you if you don't. Until next time, make some shit happen.
Hey, before you go, would you like to receive my ultimate gut repair guide for free? This guide has everything you need to know about leaky gut, what's causing it, how it's affecting your daily life, a meal plan, and 5 ways you can start healing your gut today. This is the same framework that my VIP clients use when they start healing their gut. It's amazing. All you have to do is leave an honest review of Let's Talk Shit, screenshot it, share it to your Instagram stories, and tag me at Lisa Garrett Nutrition. I hope today's episode inspired you to make some shit happen in your life because you're freaking awesome. And I cannot wait to connect with you next time on Let's Talk Shit.